for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Secondary guidance systems engaged.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. It's Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. This is Season 3, Episode 1 of Libertarian LowDown. And we are not going to beat around the bush too terrible much because we have a good friend of the show. Okay, well, I call him a good friend of the show because this is his third appearance for Libertarian LowDown. And I think it's been in each season. But we have the inestimable. I'm just going to start now. The esteemed former White House economist / police officer / now author and presidential candidate for the Libertarian National Party presidential nomination, Mike Termott, coming on. And we have a very limited amount of time. So, guys, if you really have a really pressing question that you must ask Mike, the best way for me to see it as we're scrolling through all of this will be a super chat. And I'm greedy and I want your money because you give it to me voluntarily as opposed to the people who are watching who will take half of it without your volunteering it. So, without any further ado, Mike, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for doing this. That was plenty of ado. You don't need any more ado than that. That was about the right amount.
No.
That might have been an inch too much ado, but not badly. It's a joy to be with you.
I
appreciate you characterizing me as inestimable. I would call you inimitable and esteemed.
Now you're going to make me break out the dictionary while you talk.
No, it's okay. Good to see you. Good to see you online. I recently saw you in person. And for the sake of your fans, I must say, and this is no bullshit, you're even better looking in person.
Aw, shucks. I had to confront the poor guy. Snarky user says with all of those IN words, that was inevitable. So yes. Touche. True. I had to almost throw this guy out of the 360 lounge in Duluth, Minnesota, because he was in an area that he was not allowed to be because they didn't have enough wait staff and they were turning all the other presidential candidates away for lunch because they didn't have enough people to wait on him. I have never in my life
space every hour as it went around in a circle.
Yes, it was. I have never in my life heard that before, to be quite honest. Well, I'm sorry, sir.
Because not enough wait staff.
Yes, I've never heard that, which I think is a great segue to your book, which is really one of the things I want.
Yes, it is a great segue to the book. We don't have enough wait staff, so we decided to put a book together.
Yes, that's exactly what I meant. Thank you.
It is called The Gold New Deal. It is a tremendous amount of fun because it is a collection of essays. It is a collection of essays by very fun people like Max Borders, who's a well-known author, people like Larry Sharp and Dennis Consorte, and the inimitable Irene Mavrikakis. Daniel Donnelly, one of the most articulate dark horses in the Libertarian Party.
And your
by
book,
the way,
go ahead. Yes,
I'm teasing you. I almost let you in there. And by the way, there's an essay by me that you don't have to read. There is an interview conducted by me of Lisa, the Libertarian Intelligence System application, the AI robot trained to answer questions the way a libertarian should. and I conduct an interview with Lisa, and we published what Lisa said, no editing, which was nerve-wracking for me because, Lisa's in beta, right? And every once in a while, Lisa says something really stupid, and
Well,
she
she will
didn't
make
at that time.
she will make for a perfect libertarian then, because every once in a while.
Well, that's a good point. Maybe that is an accurate reflection of answering questions the way a libertarian would, if not should.
I just lost all my libertarian friends with that.
No, I think that's very funny. Yeah, you should ask Lisa a question right now.
Well, she's your baby. What kind of question should we ask her?
Oh, I don't know. Ask something generic like, should people in Minnesota be allowed to carry guns? I don't know, something generic.
Oh, you know what? Here's oh gosh, don't look at my code, guys. Here's what I do.
Oh, don't worry.
Should I be required to
don't get fancy? You go all double negative on her and shit. She gets mixed up.
Should I be required to get permission from my neighbors?
Oh Lord, not even I would be able to answer this. Keep going.
Oh, you will, because this is actually going on in my life right now. Should people be required, or should I be required here? I'm sorry. I'm not used to typing into an AI chat.
No, I know. It's an acquired skill. Should I be required to get permission from my neighbors to build a fence?
Chickens?
No, to own chickens.
To have chickens and get a permit.
It's a little convoluted there. I don't think she's gonna be able to answer that even.
All right. All right. I'll just start with
people be allowed to have chickens in their yard. Let's start out with the basics. Should people be allowed to have chickens in their yard?
So I brought up the segue into an economy that says we just don't have enough wait staff. How do you feel about the economy right now, Mr. Economist / author / book editor?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. At the moment, you could find a job if you really wanted to, but you couldn't find a mortgage. And the problem with the situation as I see it, absolutely, you can have chickens. That's a good answer. I'm not going to read the rest. Property rights, blah, blah, blah. Keep them on your property, blah, blah, blah. She gave you an answer that was longer than your question. The problem,
she's good. You did a good job.
I don't know about that. The problem at the moment is that our economy is artificially doing well. In other words, it's doing well because we borrowed $35 trillion worth of, accumulated debt at the federal level. And we've used that to advance the economy in some sense. But now we're going to pay for it over the next, generations with slower growth because all that debt has to be serviced. And of course, interest rates are insane because there's this out of control expectation of inflation because the Fed has done such a crappy job of controlling inflation in the first place. I think we need to get rid of, in general, we need to get rid of the Federal Reserve System, lock, stock, and barrel. The first step to that is getting rid of discretionary monetary policy that the Fed has. We shouldn't be allowing the Fed to pursue this dopey idea of setting short-term interest rates in the U.S. dollar market by locking up 12 people in a room every 6 weeks and basically asking what mood they're in. I don't think that if most Americans realize that's actually how it's done, they would find that a very acceptable pursuit of public policy, much less an intervention into the most important market in the world, short-term interest rates for the U.S. dollar. It's really stupid.
See, I'm much more polished now because I'm bringing up stuff as you talk about it.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. It's going on in real time. That's a good looking book right there, Gold New Deal. Folks on your podcast will recognize the Gold New Deal is the name of our platform. We're running on a platform called a Gold New Deal because we believe we need a new, fundamentally different relationship between us and government. So we're talking about reversing FDR's New Deal. Mm-hmm. We're talking, we're poking a little bit of fun here at AOC's Green New Deal, right?
Right.
We do
Absolutely.
believe that we need to fundamentally change that relationship. The relationship that we have now with the government is quite abusive and undermines our culture as well as our economy. So the book is self-servingly named after the platform. So it's a collection of essays. Various people are talking about different reasons why. There's the list right there. Russ Page is a good guy. He puts together an article about government precluding certain types of advertising, which of course is really dopey. Adolfo Jimenez has a very sweet little article about what it's like to be a small business owner in Broward County, Florida, which is really funny and sad at the same time. Joel Eckstein has a really interesting take on the abusive nature of government and sort of a metaphorical relationship to that and abusive personal relationships. So it's a really interesting collection. Larry Sharp, of course, he loves the idea of contract leasing the rights to advertising on bridges and other elements of public infrastructure, which I think is a really out of the box innovative idea. And a lot of people recoil when they first hear it, but I would encourage you to go through the entirety of the essay because he talks you into it. He's a very thoughtful guy, and so that's kind of interesting.
Absolutely. And I'm in communication with Irene. We're going to be having Irene on for an episode of Libertarian Lowdown, as well as a separate episode for the Rumble side of the platform to talk
I love
specifically.
that. When you have Irene on, you got to talk vaccines, vaccine mandates, the development of the vaccines. She'll curl your hair.
We will be doing that, and that'll be on the Rumble side, so we can escape some of the remaining censorship of the
censorship.
Yes. And your book is available on Amazon, and if they want it signed, they could just send it to me and I'll forge it.
Yes, that is option A. Option B is you can come to the Libertarian National Convention in Washington across Memorial Day weekend, and you can sign it there. You won't have to have people ship it around. Will you be there, by the way?
I will not. I would have loved to.
So people, if they want a forgery, will have to actually mail it to you.
Yes, exactly. And we will make sure that I study your signature very well.
I don't think that's necessary. I don't think people know what my actual signature looks like. So
well, you're a libertarian genius, so if you're like me.
Well, I'm a libertarian. Let's not get out ahead of our skis. Let's leave it at that. I think if you just wrote Mike on the front page of the book, people would think that's just fine. But I do think we might be out over our skis thinking someone's going to be dying for my signature. That might be, that might be a little self-serving even by my usual egotistical
When does the audio version of you reading it come out?
When?
Yeah.
This is it. We're recording it right now.
Wonderful. Folks, this is going to be a long show. It's going to be
it's a very brief summary. That was it. We just did it.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for coming on. Have a good night.
Exactly. People can listen to the rest if they want, but that was a summary of the book. So anyway, we're very excited about the book, very excited about the platform, very excited about the AI bot, very excited about the campaign, and extremely excited about the convention. If there's anyone in your audience out there who is going to be in Washington at the convention, come by the exhibit table. We are going to have something that's a surprise at the exhibit table that you will want.
Wow. See, this is why I should be going.
Yeah. Well, if you were going, I would have told you what it is, but now I can't break the news. It is something that you will want. You'll be glad that you came by the exhibit table.
Trust me, when Mike makes a promise like that, he means it. We
don't backtrack on shit like that.
So you've been campaigning your tail off, and
it's all gone.
It's all gone, and part of that's been trying to drum up signatures for ballot access.
Yep.
How's that been going?
Depends on how you look at it. If you really like standing in the Walmart parking lot, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I just came back from 3 days in New York, which is to say Syracuse and Buffalo and Dutchess County, Poughkeepsie. By the way, had a super, and this is no joke. I really had a nice morning, afternoon with Tom Queter out in the middle of nowhere in New York State, who is launching a foundation to make more available electric wheelchairs, and to even, and this is the even more important part, to develop wheelchair designs through open source parts, so that you can build them yourself if you wanted to, but most importantly, you can replace the parts easily. Because it turns out that, and you're going to be shocked by this, the market for wheelchairs is all fucked up by Medicare. So
What?
they have to approve it. Yeah, I know, you're shocked by that. I actually was not aware of this until Tom explained it to me, but you know, the shocking part, of course, we're being a little bit facetious about, but I was not aware that Medicare takes so much time to approve of a wheelchair, and approves of such a narrow band of wheelchairs that oftentimes it makes no sense to wait for their approval. And they will not approve of replacement parts unless they're original. It's really a mess. So anyway, he's developing open sourced supply chain open source wheelchair designs, and so it's really an exciting development. It's going to blow open the entire market, so I'm very excited about it. Anyway, that's Tom Queter's program, Mobility Independence Foundation, MIF, Mobility Independence Foundation, Tom Queter in New York. So everyone go there and throw Tom a few bucks.
And he's doing it independent from the state. The state's not doing this.
He's doing it independent of the state, independent of the party, independent of anything. So yeah, if anyone feels like throwing him a few bucks, that's a good idea. So anyway, New York State, it's a huge project, as you know. We need 45,000 signatures verified, which means you need, I don't know, north of 60,000 in total. I was out there with a couple members of my team and others in those various places, collected a lot of signatures, but it seems like a drop in the bucket compared to how many we need in total. So I encourage everyone out there, get in touch with your local Libertarian Party, get yourself a clipboard, get the form, put the form on the clipboard. Hey, can I get you, if you're a registered voter, can I get your signature? It's just a matter of getting ballot access. We have more choice.
And I think that's actually a really poignant thought too, is that, look, don't be afraid to approach your Democrat friends, family members, Republican friends, family members, coworkers, neighbors, whoever it is, and say, look, what's the threat to you if you sign this petition saying, yeah, let this person have access to the ballot as a presidential candidate? Yeah, who's it going to hurt?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's a great sales pitch, really.
Choice pitch. If you tell them, this is all about having more choice, people are generally warm to that. Not everyone, right? But as long as you've got thick skin in a few hours, it's the right thing to do. The party needs it. And to be honest, I know I don't mean to sound dramatic. It's good for democracy. It's good for America. It's not just good for the Libertarian Party. Now, I also happen to believe that the party is good for America. And so,
yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you have to be overly dramatic to say that it is. I mean, we've seen, Mike, you and I've talked about this before, and you talk about it a lot through your social media and in other platforms, that the duopoly, this unipolar reality of what politics has become in the U.S., in the Republic, has been just absolutely devastatingly destructive for us. And I think you're seeing a lot of that play out in conversations that are taking place around the border. And I know that's been a hot topic for you this last week, especially. It's been open borders, closed borders. How do you handle the border? It's a hot topic when it comes to things like Israel and Zionism, and and drawing a distinction between being Jewish and being a Zionist and being pro free speech versus against violence. And all we see from the uniparty is outrage and beating the drum of fear from both directions.
Yep.
And it's just not been good for the Republic at all. Not at all.
I agree with that. I think it's not healthy for our political process. More importantly, it's not healthy for our culture. Regarding immigration, I would say the same thing that I have said for years, which is legal immigration is good for America and illegal immigration is bad for America. And I truly believe that both of those things are true, that they necessarily have to be recognized in tandem and at the same time. I think this idea that it should take weeks and months and years to vet people across the border is stupid. I think that we need to get good at bringing people in the United States faster in a more logical sense. I don't like the idea of discriminating against people that want to come here for economic reasons. Not a big fan of dragging this out, requiring further hearings. If you're not on a list, right? If you're not wanted for a felony warrant in your home country, welcome to America. And I think that we should get people to work right away. I think it's backwards and counterproductive to tell people you can come in, but you can't work. Like, what are we doing? That is why people want to come, right?
Which ironically is really kind of what the powers that be want, is they don't want them to work, which is why they tell them that.
Yeah, it's insane. And of course, and this really needs to be told to our Republican friends, those of you who are, well, our Democratic friends too, those of you who are concerned about, people coming in, getting jobs, undermining the wage rate structure in the United States. The only threat to the wage rate structure in the United States is to have people inside America who can only work for pennies on the dollar. That's what undermines wages in the United States. If you would let them work competitively, you wouldn't have this problem. But we create that, like every other government intervention, we create a black market, and black markets undermine people's welfare in health, in economics, in every which way, including labor markets. So this idea of bringing people in, telling them they can't work, they're going to go to work, which means they're going to work in the shadows. They're going to work in the black market. They're not going to be able to get a job legally and on the books. They have to work for pennies on the dollar. They get abused by corporate employers all too often, and other employers. And, this is what undermines the structure of wage markets in the United States. And that is quite an irony, is that these rules are imposed by people who are trying to protect the wage rate, and they serve to undermine it. But it's not shocking that the government would impose something that had ironic consequences. And TC, I think it simultaneously has to be said that all illegal immigration is bad for the United States. When I was down at the border last year and saw with my own eye, I talked to Border Patrol, I talked to the sheriff's office, talked to ranchers with property on the border, talked to a lot of libertarian thought leaders. Wow, really came away impressed by the magnitude of the humanitarian crisis down there that is human trafficking. That is not something that we should be tolerating. That is a bad look. It's a bad policy. It's bad for everybody involved. It's horrific for the individuals involved. Right. These people that are using gangs and coyotes to come to the border, and then, they're handed off to people on the American side that use these telephone apps, and they have no relationship. They have no idea who these people are, and all too often are effectively sold into indentured servitude. We should not be putting up with that. It is every bit as hellacious as you might worry.
And then to think about what happens with a lot of them, and this is what really kind of chapped my hide a little bit, was the gamesmanship, the one-upsmanship of the political parties of Republicans sending these people on buses and planes to predominantly Democrat areas to make a point. You're literally playing with the lives of
Yeah.
people who were told we're gonna take you to the land of hope and freedom and dreams of opportunity, and you're going to become a political chess piece, a pawn. Literally,
Yeah.
not even not a not a bishop or a rook or a knight. You're going to be
No,
a
just
pawn
pawns.
in just pawns. And then like you look at with New York, what then New York's like, well, yeah, we'll take you in, and then they're kicking vets out of veteran housing and shutting down extended stay hotel rooms and other places to house these people. And all I hear in all of that is, yes, this is a humanitarian crisis, and yeah, we should be mad at the traffickers that are bringing them.
And then our
Oh,
politicians
and
traffic them on this side of the border.
yes, for political
Yeah.
clout. And
Yeah. No, it's disgusting. And to your point, using them, physically, it's not even a metaphor. Like they're literally moving them around and abusing them. No, it's disgusting in every way that a policy can be disgusting. And in my view, we should not be tolerating it. It does not reflect our values as Americans.
That's right.
We should be closing the border to illegal immigration and speeding it up to legal immigration. We need to be able to do both of those things at the same time. And pretending that we should be doing one and not the other is just political posturing.
Preach, brother. I haven't said that to anybody for a while, but I want to turn to something because one of the viewers brought this up, and I'm not going to try and put the whole comment up, but one of the viewers brought up Trump coming to the Libertarian Party National Convention. And you're telling people, come to the convention, well, especially if you're a delegate, please go to the convention.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah, but if you are a delegate,
yeah, you have to. That ain't optional. You got to be there.
I'm pretty sure Mike would say, I don't care who you vote for, but if you're a delegate, please show up.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it'd be nice if you vote for me, but at the very least, show up.
Just show up. But
vote for somebody.
Vote for some. Yeah, can we please? Don't become part of the problem in DC.
Don't vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah, there you go. So here's this.
Do yourself a favor. Vote for a libertarian.
So
and if
Donald
anyone
Trump
is confused out there and needs a rundown, I am a pretty big fan of each and every one of the major candidates. I can tell you why you might want to support Lars, Rec, Chase, Jacob, right? Joshua Smith. I can tell you good reasons why you might want to support each of those guys. Donald Trump is not on that list. Neither is RFK, by the way.
Well, you know what? This is the thing. And a lot of you don't know, I have isolated all of the candidate platform, or not platform, but what do you want to call it? It wasn't a debate per se in the Minnesota Libertarian Convention, but I've isolated the entire conversations. I broke them down by question, and I'm going to be releasing those. And all of you guys, honestly, you did good-naturedly, but with some jabbing. I mean, that's what politics is. I don't care, libertarian or not.
Right. That's what friends do. You punch each other in the face, you have a beer. Right.
Sometimes you just punch each other in the face and skip the beer. But you guys really did, and some of these different topics really did go after one another in what I think was a healthy way, but at the same time had a healthy amount of respect for one another, which is absolutely missing. And what I've been watching from the libertarians across the United States is this outrage over the idea that Trump's been invited, and what nobody's paying any attention to, which is what the chair of the LNC said, I've invited all of the candidates, all the major party candidates.
Right.
And Trump was the only one who took that, and you said something on social media, and there again, I know you don't run it all the time, but you got a team. But
this stuff is mine, don't worry.
But I do know that you said something very specific, which was he needs to hear from the libertarians why libertarians are, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, folks, why libertarians are libertarians, and to understand why he's going to lose votes to libertarian candidate, whoever the libertarian candidate may be.
Yeah.
You didn't say to me, you said to whoever the libertarian candidate might be.
Yeah,
And
I
it's the
think
same
that's
thing
true.
for the Democrats.
Yeah, I think that's true. He needs to come and listen. Look, he could become president of the United States again, right?
Good
And
God, please no. Please no.
well, just saying, weird shit happens. Well, he became president once. That was weird. So you can't say with 100% certainty he's not going to do it again. And that makes him, not an unimportant figure. And it would be
Correct.
nice if he would catch an earful of something useful once in a while. It's listening is not in this guy's wheelhouse. I understand which I speak, but it would be nice if he walked away somehow, affected by the experience. And I do believe he needs to realize he's going to lose votes because of his lack of libertarian nature. And by the way, I would say the same thing to President Biden. If you believe that Donald Trump is doing a smart thing by showing up, and it's not like I'm his advisor, or I'm not even suggesting that would be a good idea to listen to me give a Republican advice. That's a weird thing on top of a weird thing. But to the extent to which you believe that Donald Trump is doing a smart thing from the Republican point of view, you probably got to argue that Joe Biden should be showing up as well, because I think that it needs to be said that the Libertarian Party candidate is very likely to take a whole bunch of votes away from the Democratic side, arguably more so than from the Republican side.
I was actually going to say that. I'm glad you brought that up, because the more I talk to people right now, the more I'm hearing and seeing from them that the like in Minnesota, we call it the DFL, but from Democrats, the Democrats are they're bleeding out.
Yeah.
Oftentimes,
there's a whole lot of reasons not to support that nominee.
Oh yeah. And some of it even comes down to the politics of their own state, really. And, like in Minnesota is a really good example. People are like lifelong, dyed in the wool, 60, 70-year-old Democrats are like, I don't recognize anything that they're doing right now. Folks, if you are watching, please share this out. By the way, we'd like to have the views, because Mike's got some really good things to say. And Mike, I want to get ready to transition a little bit from campaigning per se in the national convention. I'd like to hear a few more of your thoughts about what's going to be a big thing about the convention. But I've been trying to reach out to other candidates, and you know that about me. I do try to reach out to other candidates.
Yeah.
What would you have them know about coming on with me?
Well, what's the pitch? The pitch is that you're not one of these assholes who tries to get you to say something stupid. You give people enough time to answer the question, and answer the question in a rational way. And that's something that candidates look for. Candidates want an opportunity to answer your questions, right? You ask me about immigration, I'll tell you how I feel. If you feel differently, that's okay. We can go back and forth. We've got a few minutes. It's not like we feel rushed. What bothers candidates is two things. One, I got 40 seconds. Tell me everything you feel about criminal justice reform. And it just is not helpful, right? That just does not help anybody. I can't spell criminal justice reform in less than 40 seconds. The other thing that is not helpful is when people fight for the sake of it per se.
Yep.
Just because they can't agree. And I get this a lot from people on the left, right? They'll pick something out and say, well, that's not how markets really work. You're pie in the sky. Okay, I'm sorry. You're not being helpful, right? You may not believe in economics. You're a pseudoscience guy. I get that. That's fine. But we still have to develop a sense of what we want the policy to be. And so you have to be able to have a conversation. But all too often people find some reason to just disagree for the sake of it, and then you end up going down some tangential rabbit hole that has nothing to do with the centerpiece of what it is you should be talking about. That's very annoying, and you don't do those two things. If you just don't do those two things, candidates are going to love to come on your show.
And I was doing that to be self-aggrandizing, and it worked very well. Thank you, Mike.
Well, I'm not trying to say it's all that. I'm just trying to say you don't do the two stupid things that piss everybody. I'm not setting the bar that high.
No, I liked what you said about you give people time to answer the questions without trying to catch them, get them to say something stupid. I'm like, no, I'll let you do that on your own.
Well, that's exactly right. You give people enough time, they'll eventually say something goofy on their own. I do it too. People prattle on and something comes out wrong.
Yeah. Oh, boy, howdy. So
I know you've never done that.
No, never. Not once in all of my no.
Now, the other thing is that if there's someone, you don't have to answer this right now, and you can just drop me a text. If there's someone in particular that you want to have on your show, let me know, and I'll drop them a text.
I will do that. I will absolutely do that.
It's they don't listen to me regarding everything, right? But if I said, I was chatting with TC, he's a good interview, and he was saying he'd love to have you on the show, give him a buzz, I would do that.
Snarky says, tell us about your hunting dogs.
I got dogs.
You got hunting dogs?
Well, they were born to be, but right now they're asleep on the couch. So no, I've got a couple of Labrador retrievers that are completely useless. They hunt even though I'm not a hunter. Okay, meaning each one has twice, so a total of 4 times, grabbed a duck just to piss me off. And one time,
as you're out on walks, nice.
Yeah, no, really. One was in a public park. I let them off the leash for a moment, which you should not do. I understand that, but they're very sweet, and they were puppies at the time. They were like 11 or 12 months old.
They were just doing their job.
Yeah, one just runs down, and I don't know what it is about ducks, but I know they can fly because they migrate. But this flock decided to waddle away. Well, I'm sorry. A black Labrador retriever puppy who's going like 22 miles an hour. That's a good time to fly,
There's something to be said for what there's an analogy in there somewhere, brother.
Well, that's right. And, the ones in the front figure, I don't have to fly. I just got to out waddle you. But the slowest waddler, Red gets him and is all proud of himself. He turns around, looks at me, and I'm screaming my head off. And I'll never forget the look. He's, from 50 yards away, we're locked on eye to eye, right? Human to canine. And I'm yelling at him, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it. And he's just staring at me, right? And he goes, poof, like all disappointed, like, fine, you got your way. And, Blue did it too. He chomped on a duck who made its way into the backyard. And when I used to live in Florida. And then out here in Virginia, Blue clomped down on a blue heron in the marsh next to the house a few weeks ago. And my wife, Nancy, thought, oh, boy, that's going to be the end of the heron, right? But she yelled at him, Blue dropped it, and the heron just kind of waddled away and didn't even relocate, like still lives in the marsh. Like, how intelligent are these animals?
Either they're not that, or they're just so much velociraptor left in them, they're just not afraid.
He should be.
That's
the story of my Labrador retrievers. They're very sweet and they're very good at what they do, but in some grander sense, they're absolutely worthless.
There again, so many metaphors and analogies
absolutely
about politics in the United States today. Yeah. So give me one quick summation of what you think a highlight of the convention beyond the presidential nomination finally being handed out. Give me a summation of what you think is a really great thing for libertarians to be looking forward to from the convention, and then we're going to transition a little bit to in the
Yep.
final few minutes about police reform, because this is a
Sure.
topic that's dear to both of us.
You bet. We can talk about that. I think the convention is going to be a lot of fun because you got a lot of people who come together who normally are just yelling at each other online, and you have to talk to each other. And I think that's a very good and very healthy thing. The caucuses are going to have meetings. I got a meeting with the Radical Caucus set up, and I'm talking to the classical liberals tomorrow. And, everyone's getting ready for this and that. Those are all good things to do. I'm a big believer in groups and caucuses and conversations like that. And I think that those are all very healthy things. I think the debate itself among the presidential candidates is going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be very insightful, and I think it will be for reasons that people don't anticipate, because I think you're going to see simultaneously good-natured respect and important differentiation that's going to matter to everybody. So I would encourage everyone to come to actually pay attention and not just, scream and shout and that kind of stuff, which people do anyway, but come and actually listen and pay attention. I also think that Donald Trump being there is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting because it'll be a chance for us to yell at him, which is not a bad thing. I know that it comes off a little dopey and sophomoric, but it's not a bad thing for him to understand that we don't consider him one of us. And I think it'll be interesting to see, as a matter of tactics, what it is that he decides to say. For example, I thought it was very interesting what RFK decided to say at the California Libertarian Party convention. It came off dopey, but it just illustrated the extent to which he's not merely not a libertarian. He's actually in some sense clueless. And I'm
actually give us an idea, because he was getting a lot of pushback at the LP convention in California at the lunch.
Yeah, I didn't attend the lunch, but apparently he went off on, we need to protect everything that we have in common, that the government needs to step in and protect what he, refers to sweepingly as the commons, and just denies a private sector role in, assigning property rights in a way that would motivate investors to protect elements of fill in the blank, common property or the environment or what have you. He just seems completely clueless and doubled down. And what I found really weird was not merely that his policy was different than ours. That I kind of expected, he's not a libertarian. But one thing I really found fascinating is that's what he decided to talk about. Like if he had come
at a libertarian convention.
Yeah. Like if he comes and says, vaccines suck, Fauci sucks, I'm going to send him to jail. At least, we're having a good time until we get to dessert, right? But he doesn't. He picks the most divisive thing he can think of and doubles down on a non-libertarian position. I thought that was odd. And so just as a matter of
talk about not reading the room.
Not a room reader.
No.
Not a room reader. I will be interested in knowing what it is that Trump chooses to talk about, just out of curiosity. And I'm not even sure it matters. I'm just sort of idly curious. In that sense, even if he doesn't show up, maybe he could mail in the speech so I could know what it is that he would have said, right? I'm just a little bit curious.
I was wondering what you thought the highlight would be. And a friend of mine asked me yesterday, he goes, how come you didn't tell me Trump's going to be at the LP National Convention? And because I didn't really, from the perspective of what it's going to accomplish, it's just not a big deal.
Well, I think that's true. If we can squeak out a little PR, that's not a bad thing.
Absolutely.
What I am afraid of is
the media coverage is going to be nuts.
Yeah. But I am afraid that how do I say this? I don't believe it's completely true that all PR is good PR. I think there is such a thing as bad PR. And I worry about Trump says one thing. I'm making this up, right? But imagine this scenario. He says one thing that people like and he gets a little bit of applause. And then he picks out that 8-second video clip and it goes on social media. And all of a sudden people think, oh, the Libertarian Party likes Donald Trump.
Yeah, and I do think that's definitely a risk. And I think that, Angela did take a very calculated risk. The nice thing is that she's got she's got the receipts to show she's made the invite to everybody, and he was the only one that took it. And so
the other thing that I think needs to be said is why did he take it? Not merely why did Joe Biden not, but why this year and not others? I got to believe that in the past, if
he might be reading the room.
Yeah, if one of these guys wanted to speak to the convention, there would have been a conversation about it, at least that we would have heard of. And I don't think there has been that conversation in the past. And I think that signals the extent to which the Libertarian Party represents a very, very important threat to disrupting the political duopoly in this country. And if nothing else, he realizes that.
So as we get ready to transition to the last 10 minutes here, I know I'm 99.9% positive I know the answer to this question. So this is the closest I'm going to get to putting you on the spot ever, besides telling everybody how sharp I look for not wearing my beanie. And,
I don't mind you putting me on the spot. It's all good.
I'm assuming with relative confidence that you will, without hesitation, stand behind whoever the party nominates for president for the Libertarian Party.
Yes, of course. I mean, unless they do something that I don't think they're going to do. I mean, if all the delegates got together and nominated Donald Trump or Bobby Kennedy, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to figure out whatever the hell Plan B is. But no, if it's one of the guys that I've been working with these past months and literally years in a couple of cases, of course, and I have informed them as well.
Just so you know, I will endorse you if you get the nomination.
So, no, I mean, what I mean is it's more than just an endorsement. It's work.
Right. It's work.
Absolutely. I will help whoever is the nominee.
And folks, and
I expect that from the others as well, whether they realize it or not. Now, it may be that a week or two needs to go by, so there's a cooling off period if we're mad at each other. But by the end of June, everyone's coming back together as a team. That's just the way it's going to be, come hell or high water. And I hope that doesn't come as a surprise to anybody.
But see, this is one of the things that I've come to really appreciate about the libertarians that I know and the Libertarian Party as a whole is, like, we have a goal. We have a goal, and that's better self-governance. And part of that is standing behind candidates, even when there have been differences. So you and I both have a passion for law enforcement reform, and I think it's a platform and a plank in domestic policy that I don't even think the Libertarian Party itself talks about enough. I really don't. I don't think they talk about it
wholeheartedly.
And darn sure not going to hear the Republicans talk about it.
No, nobody talks about it.
And the way the Democrats talk about it is not at all the way it should be handled.
No, it's dopey. When Democrats say they're defund the police, I think that's
it's not the libertarian idea of defunding.
No, it's not a matter of saving resources. They want to spend it on something else dumb. It's a basic way of saying, I don't understand it. It's too complicated. I'm out. I know people are mad at the police in my district, and so I'm just going to say anything I can think of that's anti-cop. It's just not helpful. And the truth of the matter is that constituents don't want less policing. They want less bad policing. They want policing that better aligns with their values, that better adheres to the principles that the underlying community believes in. They want to impose their ethics on the department and expect the department to pursue a set of protocols that aligns with those ethics. And on the Republican side, when Republican politicians say, back the blue in every case. Oh, I'm sorry. Cops don't even say anything that stupid. I never say anything that dumb when I was a cop. I mean, you wouldn't say that something that stupid in roll call. You knew damn well that you couldn't, suggest that in every single case, cops got it right and nobody's going to make a mistake. And I mean, it's just, it's unhelpful.
We do know, and I know that you're no stranger to it. The inception of the individual person on the street being able to shoot video of law enforcement interactions, whether they be the target of the interaction or a passerby in the interaction, we are starting to see that even though cops may not say it, there are many of them that will adhere to it. That, well, I can't. There's a case out of Bellevue, Nebraska right now of a woman who was arrested for literally stepping onto the concrete driveway of her own driveway because the cop said she wasn't allowed to step out of her yard. And in the significant other said
That's weird.
said, yeah, oh, it's I'm actually having the couple on
That's
Monday
a
night.
hoot. Yeah.
To talk about it. And the significant other, the male half of the couple, says to the second officer, if you don't understand why she was being arrested and you can't say for a fact that she was wrong, why would you not at least suggest to the other officer that perhaps he overreacted? And he said, I never questioned my fellow officers.
Oh, shit. Look, good policing is a team sport. You need to be talking to each other all the time. And look, I'm not unsympathetic to, the reasons why cops make mistakes. Cops are humans. And if, you let your emotions get to you, or you just have a brain fart and do something stupid, a true friend is someone who will say, like, hold on. Can we talk about this? Maybe arresting this woman isn't really plan A. Let's impress upon her that we don't want her to do whatever. I hope there was some point to something in this conversation that was the reason why they told her they didn't want her moving in one direction. Well, I wasn't there. I have no idea what it was, but there's got to be something more logical than we're just going to arrest her for, walking in a certain direction. So yeah,
I would like to say that you're right on this one, or not right. You're not asserting something I don't agree with, but I would like to tell you that somewhere in their logic would say, no, there had to be something far more going on. But I've watched the video and listened to it over and over and over again. And it was just a butthurt cop. And you and I have both dealt with him.
Yeah, of course. It's a terrible thing. Look, fundamentally, we want police work to be more like other industries, right? We want bad cops to be fired. We want mediocre cops to get paid less and for the good cops to get paid more. We want communities to have more control over their police forces. That means that you want greater competition at the agency level. There is no reason why a town or a county should have a choice of only one or two different agencies to hire. You should be able to hire anybody you want, including a private sector organization on a medium term or long-term contract. No reason at all why state law shouldn't be changed to accommodate that. And it would be a huge vehicle to holding police accountable. We also need to get rid of qualified immunity and require officers to carry their own liability insurance, just like doctors carry malpractice insurance. The reason this is so important is because you want the ability of people in the community to hold police accountable in court, to sue driving up an officer's premium rates and forcing the officer to have some skin in the game. Same thing with bad doctors. Eventually you get priced out of the market if you suck at your job. That's how we want this to work. And the beauty of it, really, unlike medical applications, the beauty of it is that because police unions can be so difficult to work with in terms of getting information out and creating a really opaque environment, the beauty is that an insurance company is a third-party outside check on the system that's not going to put up with union stonewalling. So having an insurance company say, look, we're going to have all kinds of information on each of these officers or you're not going to get insured. That is something that we think can really, really help the market. In a perfect world, politicians would be better at holding officers accountable, but
right.
that perfect world doesn't typically
It's
exist.
either 100% love him or 100% hate him, and you can't acknowledge on either side. And Mike knows this because one of our very first conversations was almost explicitly directed towards law enforcement reform, and he knows I am working on trying to pen, shall we say, sample legislation that would require annual 20 hours annually minimum of constitutional training to include case law from, legal experts who are, retired law enforcement who are constitutionally minded. And Mike's even volunteered to help me with that at some point when things settle down for
I
him.
would absolutely love to. And there's specific cases that are, well, and it doesn't matter. I mean, you can almost pick cases at random. Part of it is just talking through them and talking through the issues. There are attorneys out there who used to be cops who are quite good at this. I have met a couple from time to time. Police academies have people who are good at this. Parenthetically, police academies also have people who are not very good at this. But
very good at all. Yes.
just to be honest, it's a little bit hit or miss, having been through the academy myself in Broward County, which is actually quite good by comparative standards. So I wish you a lot of luck in that. There are resources out there to help, but I think it is a very important proposition.
Lou Skunt, who's watching, says, I'm a retired law enforcement officer. I'll help. Lou, you can email me.
Take Lou up on it. Half the battle is just getting someone to agree.
MBRR podcast at yahoo.com. Mike, we've got you hard out in
negative 1 minute.
Negative 1 minute. So give me a negative 1 minute sales pitch for why Mike Termott is the guy.
Because I'm the one with goldnewdeal.org, the greatest website in the world. Go see it. You can go to MikeTermott.com as well, but it's harder to spell because Termott is 2 A's. Go to goldnewdeal.org. It's a new relationship between us and the government we will tolerate. And America is ready for this message. America is ready for a campaign based on unapologetic libertarian principles and pursued in a way that maintains competitive credibility. That's what's going to disrupt the American duopoly this year.
Mike, as always, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I know you got something scheduled coming up right after this.
My pleasure. You take care. Good to be with you.
Thanks for coming on again, friend. And thanks to your, is it Gabby?
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle,
tell her, thank
you very much.
She's a trooper to put up with you.
I agree. And same for you. Get out of here. Go.
Ciao.
Thank you. Folks, that's Mike Termott. He is running for the Libertarian Party nomination for president. And you heard him. Short of the Libertarian Party doing something just completely asinine and nominating a Bobby Kennedy or a Donald Trump, he will back whoever the candidate is. Folks, if you're watching this, and you're not likely to be surrounded by libertarians in your life, but you want to see libertarians have ballot access, please reach out to your local Libertarian Party or your state Libertarian Party and say, how can I help with ballot access for any candidate at all, but especially for the presidential candidates. It's a massively important move. We have to break the back of the duopoly. We have to break the back of this uniparty, unipolar system that has absolutely been dragging our republic down into the dirt. And it really got terrible under Lincoln. Lincoln was the worst president in the history of the United States. I don't care what anybody says. I will, you can chat with me on Twix. I call it Twix now. Twitter, X, Twix. Message me on Twitter at Robe Regiment and tell me why you think I'm wrong. Tell me who you think the worst is. I'm going to tell you it's Lincoln, and I will give you a philosophical approach to why that's true. But that was where we really started to see how both the parties were working against us. Up until that point, that was happening to a degree, but that's where it got bad, folks. And Lincoln was the worst. He was just the worst. So the Libertarian Party, even if you don't think you could vote for a Libertarian at president, because you're terrified of the idea that if you don't vote the right way, then the wrong person's going to get in. Still, I'm begging you, get out there and carry petitions for them so that they can get ballot access, so that we could start to introduce to people the idea that they don't have to just look at the Democrats or the Republicans. Folks, I was a bootlicking statist for a very long time. I was a back the blue at all costs. And if you guys don't believe me, go watch some of my very recent videos. But I was the co-vice chair of my party, Republican Party, in the county that I live in. I was being groomed to run for office as a Republican before I made some really bad life choices. But I got disenfranchised. And I look around, and right now, outside of a handful of people like the Thomas Masseys and the Ron Pauls and the Rand Pauls, and I'm just really disenfranchised by the idea that even liberty-loving Republicans are not liberty-loving people. They say what they think they need to say to appeal to that populist idea. And it's just hurting. It's hurting our republic, folks. It's hurting our republic. It's hurting the people. So get out there and petition for the libertarians just to give them a shot at being able to have an impact. One voice in your city council that's truly libertarian. One voice on your county commission that's truly libertarian. One voice in your House or your Senate at the state level. One voice is all it takes to start the avalanche. That's it. You don't have to have a 5,000 member party in a metro area. You just need one voice that's willing to stand up and look like a fool in the eyes of the status quo. If you're willing to do that, if you can do that, we can accomplish so much. I'm going to wrap this up because I worked all day and I hit the treadmill, and then I skipped lunch or dinner so I could have Mike on to stick with his schedule. So I'm going to wrap this up here. But what I'm going to ask you guys to do is I want you to go and watch all of my content from Monday through today. One of them's longer, like an hour and a half. The other one's 30 minutes. So my Monday night musings was longer. My drive time dialectic was only about 35 minutes or so. And then I put out some shorts. And I put a video up yesterday telling my city council I'm not going to mow my yard, even though you're telling me I have to, because you don't the city of Spring Valley, Minnesota does not honor or participate in No Mow May. And I love my yard. I'm meticulous about how I take care of it. But I'm ready to start fighting the state at all of her levels. Ask yourself this. Are you willing to fight the state at all of her levels? And are you willing to encourage your friends, neighbors, and coworkers to do the same thing? And to be willing to have the hard conversations with them? This is how we make a difference. Go make us some tacos. I think I'm going to go get wings because I'm trying to keep the carb count down. Facts dropping left and right in here. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I agree. Rebecca Whiting for Senate, 100%. I know who you are. Dude, every blade of grass is its own living creature. They're my babies. Exactly. I'm so meticulous with my yard. So me standing up to the city-state of Spring Valley, Minnesota, and not mowing my yard for the month of May, you have to know I'm serious about this fight, because normally you can look at the lines on my yard. They're perfect. So, folks, without any further ado, like this, share it out with your friends, If you know a libertarian who's running for office, send them my way. If you know or you have any interaction with any libertarian running for president, tell them I'd love to have them on between now and the convention. I will make time to have them on Libertarian Lowdown between now and convention. So fight, folks, fight. We have to fight. We have to stand up, and now is the time. We have to start throwing the metaphorical, philosophical punches. And that's why I have this sign back here on the wall, made by a friend and subscriber, supporter, a fan of the channel. Fight for your liberty. It is yours. Fight for your freedom. It belongs to you. And until next time, Sic Semper. Thanks for watching, by the way. Sic Semper, Tyrannus.
We are going for lift off in T-minus 30.
Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Secondary guidance systems engaged.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.